Hi everyone, this is Nikki with Design Like a Pro, and in this episode we're going to be talking about magazine ads. Specifically, I'm going to show you how to take the magazine that we're creating and find out what ad sizes we have available based on the size of our magazine. Now, one thing to keep in mind is there are many different sizes that go with magazines, so this is only an example that you can use to figure out what ads specifically pertain to the magazine that you are designing. Another thing to keep in mind is I'm going to show you how to drop in an ad today that's pre-made. A lot of your ads for magazines you're not going to design yourself. You're actually going to get these from third parties. So I will show you how to drop those into InDesign, and hopefully if you have the right sizes from the beginning, it should be a fairly easy process. So let's go ahead and fire up InDesign and get started. Okay, so you'll notice here that I already have some guides placed. This is the easiest thing that you can do to figure out where to start with your quarter page, your half page, and your full page sized ads. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that you're going to have to consider two different sizes. One is with a bleed and one is without a bleed. So let me show you what I'm talking about here with our quarter page size. You'll see that I've divided our page in 4 quarters. That's a great way to start, and this way it'll help you to figure out how to do this without knowing exact dimensions if your magazine is sized differently than the one that I have here as our example. So you can see that we have a center line here and a center line vertically and horizontally. And then I have another line here. This is for our skyscraper style ad that goes all the way down the length of the page. Some magazines offer that and some don't. I'm just kind of showing you the major sizes that we can deal with. Of course, each magazine is different, but this will get you started. So our quarter page, we're going to deal with a bleed and a no bleed. Now, some magazines don't even offer bleeds for their magazine ads, but it's a good thing to offer because if you have a very nicely designed ad, it'll look a lot better going all the way to the edge of our page instead of having a white border around it. So I'm just going to show you really quick here with a box what our quarter page size will be. If we drag it out here without our bleed, you can see that we have white space around here. And this would be a quarter page size. Now, one thing that I'm going to show you is that you can technically split this up into 4s, but you'll see that your ads touch each other. So I don't know if you're going to have your quarter page ads, if you actually want your ads to touch like that. So if you don't, then you're going to have to change the size ever so slightly. Now, if you just click on this box, you're going to see that we have 3.69 inches for width and 4.9375 inches for the height. That's kind of a random size, and you know, it's probably not the easiest size to go with. So if I were to actually size this for a client for an ad, I would clean this up a little bit and also give me some white space between my ads. So what I would do is actually take this width down slightly to 3.6, and then the height I would actually take that down to 4.75 inches. All right, and then I would actually line this up with the corner here. And when you do that, if you place this page, if you fill it with quarter page ads, you have nice white space between your ads. So it actually divides your ads up very nicely. So that's actually what I would do with quarter page ads. So now if I was to give this width to my client, it would be 3.6 inches wide by 4.75 inches high. And that would be my quarter page. Now, if I wanted to give the client the size with a bleed, I would drag this all the way out to our red bleed line. And then you have a new height and width. Again, you have very strange sizes here. So again, I would bump this up and round this out to 4.3. And then the height, I would round to 5.375. Actually, that's okay. That's the round number. So that way it's just a little bit wider, but it's going to get cut off in the bleed anyway. So basically what you have with this quarter page ad is an ad that goes all the way to the edge versus something that will have white space around it. So again, this is going to be a preference based on what your magazine style is and what you're going to allow. Some have their ads go all the way to cut off. It looks nicer, but then again, it's easier to have white space around your ads depending on who your advertiser is. So that's our quarter page. If we want to deal with half page, it's the same basic setup. You would take your box here again, and you would drag it all the way to the halfway point and our halfway line. Okay, so that would be a half page ad without a bleed. And again, our sizes are slightly weird, so I usually clean this up a little bit to leave this at, let's say, 7.5 inches wide by 5 inches tall. Okay? And you know what, actually, I take that back because we don't want our half page ads to touch here. So we might want this to be 4.75. So it's a little bit shorter. And then I bring this all the way up to that red line. Okay. So then this is what that would look like without any lines there when it was finally printed. And I'll show you, if we have another half page, what that looks like to have two half page ads on your page. And again, you can break this up any way you want. You can have quarter page ads as well. And I'm just going to show you real quick. That's not the actual size we had for quarter page, but you can see what that would look like if we had quarter page ads. So you can break this up any way you want. Once you have your sizes, you know it fits in the space. And again, to take the bleed into consideration, you would just drag this all the way to the edges here. And that's what your half page ad would look like with a bleed. So you have 8.5 inches wide, which is the entire width with a bleed of the page. And I would make this a little bit cleaner and probably make that 5.5. Okay. So we have our half page with bleed is 8.5 by 5.5. That's easy and simple to remember. So that's what our half page is. Full page is obviously the easiest. If you kept it with a bleed, you would just drag that all the way down, and that's the width of your page. It's 8.5 by 11 point, and I'm going to change this. 11.125 is a cleaner number. Okay, so 8.5 by 11.125 with a bleed for the full page. And again, if you didn't want to bleed, you just have to bring your lines back to our margin here. Okay, and again, I would clean that up. Let's say that to be 10. So our full page without a bleed would be 7.375 inches wide by 10 inches high. All right. So that's a quick look at how you can figure out your ad sizes. Now again, this is not a set standard. This is just something that works for me with the magazine size that I have here. And the sizes that I have make it easier for the client. That's why I kind of rounded those decimal points up a little bit, just to clean that up so that you're not giving them weird numbers. It just makes more sense when you round them up. And it fits in the page. So that gives me an idea of how I can place a full page, a quarter page, and a half page with or without a bleed. So the last thing I'm going to show you is what actually dropping a full page ad would look like. So what you would do is go to File, Place, and I already have an ad ready to go here. And let's see what this one is. If we drop that in. Okay. Now, this is a little bit tricky, and the reason I designed this like this is because you might actually get an ad where somebody has crop marks on their ad for you. So I'll show you how you can clean that up. This is actually a really quick way to do this. It works for big ads that are designed well and they're at a high resolution for you to drag your border in so you can actually crop off. You can actually crop off those crop marks by dragging in your border a little bit, and you can actually make those go away. Now what you're going to have to do though, if this is a full page to a bleed, you can see that it doesn't go all the way to the bleed. So you're going to have to hold down Control Shift and ever so slightly bring that forward. Now, That's kind of a quick and dirty way to do this. It works if you don't have to increase the size of the ad very much. If this ad was a quarter page ad, doing what I just did to make it a full page will not work very well. So that only works when you're making slight changes to the size. But if it's a drastic change, that's not going to work. Okay, and I'm going to drag this right to that line just to make sure it's nice and clean. So now we have a full page ad right in our magazine ready to go. Now the same would be true if this ad was formatted into a quarter page size to a bleed. It might look like that. Now keep in mind that because I just resized a full page, this is pretty close to the edge, and hopefully your quarter page ad would really not have that much of your text that close to the edge. But it also looks very good if it was just an ad without a bleed. So that's kind of what that looks like. Now, one ad that we forgot to mention was the Skyscraper ad, and that's the long, skinny ones that you see that run all the way down the page over on one side of that page. And that would be something like that. And you actually see quite a bit of those. They're long and skinny, and they run down the whole length. So we might actually say that this one is 2 inches by 11.125 inches for that Skyscraper ad. So there you go. That gives you a quick look at how to figure out what your ad sizes should be based on our magazine size that we have today. I'm going to leave all of these dimensions that I mentioned in the description of this video, so you won't have to memorize all of those. And I'll also put the conversions for millimeters for you fans that are not located in the United States and use inches. So hopefully that will be helpful. Again, you're going to have to take the basic principles and apply it to your actual magazine size, but this should be a good way to figure out. All you need to really do is divide it into 4s and then just shrink up your width a little bit and your height a little bit so that your ads aren't touching when you're dealing with half page and quarter page ads. So I thank you guys so much for watching. Leave comments below. I will do my best to answer those. Also, you can send those questions or ideas that you might have for an upcoming episode to ideas@nikkiHart.com. And please subscribe so that you can stay up to date with the latest things going on here at Design Like a Pro. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.